Hello everyone, welcome to the show today. My name is Spencer Walsh. On the show today, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. First, we're talking about Donald Trump on the campaign trail as the role of campaigner-in-chief. He's campaigning, he's lying, he's doing all those crazy things. Also, we're talking about the possibilities of the failure of a national emergency, North Korea, investigations, so much more on the plate today here on this snowy Monday morning. All right, thank you so much for waking up with us a little bit later than normal. It's okay. So we'll start first with the White House, where President Trump dove into campaign mode at CPAC on Saturday, delivering a sharp and sweeping preview of what we can expect from candidate Trump over the course of the next 600-ish days until November 2020. It's a long time. So, yeah, Trump he's back on the campaign trail. We saw this before the midterm elections, and we know what he does on the campaign trail. When he's on the campaign trail, he does what? Well, he lies, and he was doing it a lot. It's a traditional sign Trump's doing a campaign speech where he's really trying to rile up the base the most is when he's lying. So Trump's unscripted speech was peppered with more than 100 misleading statements, but relied on the tried and true campaign riffs from 2016, from crooked Hillary to building the wall to stopping endless wars, laced with new attacks on special counsel Robert Mueller's phony witch hunt, and once again pitted aggrieved voters under siege against failed ruling class socialists and undocumented immigrants in the name of reclaiming our nation's priceless heritage. So, yeah, I love the idea of failed ruling class. The ruling class is obviously it's failed, but equating the ruling class with socialism is, it's pretty laughable. But who knows? With a group of people that Trump has perfectly wedded to believe whatever he says, who knows what he can get them to believe by the time the election comes around? Maybe have them believe Rand Paul is a socialist, or anyone who disagrees with him is some sort of socialist or something like that. The revisionism of history at play is pretty incredible. The revisionism of everything, revisionism of the truth is pretty incredible here. Some of the highlights: we believe in the American dream, not the socialist nightmare. That's a possibility of a new campaign slogan there. They said they're attacking Democrats. He did, obviously, with the pretty literally hilarious lie in every part of the attack. They're embracing open borders, nope. Socialism, nope. And extreme late-term abortion, no. So, incredible, the three-pronged falsehood attack. So, with your help, we're reversing decades of blunders and betrayals. He says these are serious betrayals to our nation and everything we stand for. It's been done by the failed ruling class and rich foreign countries at our expense. But perhaps nothing is more extreme than the Democrats' plan to completely take over American energy and completely destroy the American economy through their $100 trillion Green New Deal. Is $100 trillion? I doubt it. But here's the thing. It's completely necessary, and it's going to be hard to convince a group of people to who don't believe in climate change to get behind it. So, for people, the Green New Deal, there's a lot more people who support the Green New Deal. It's a lot more prudent to convince people like labor unions who are skeptical about it, liberals who are skeptical about it. It's a lot more prudent to convince them because they actually see the problem here. They actually know that there's climate change. If you go to somebody like Billy Bob Joe Trump supporter, it's not really going to work. You're not going to see a lot of positive results. So, yeah, he also pretty much summed up his presidency in a few sentences here. Whether you like me or not, if my name is Smith instead of Trump, and if I told him I put in over 100 federal judges, soon it'll be 145 federal judges and 2 Supreme Court judges and 17 appellate division judges, that we've cut more regulations in 2 years than any president has ever done, whether it's 8 or beyond. The speech capped one of the most bruising weeks of Trump's presidency. But I think it's certainly making the case that, not only could any GOP president do what he did, especially with the Congress that he had for the first 2 years, it's very likely, very, very likely, that the case is that they probably would have done more because they're more competent. They probably would have completely repealed Obamacare, maybe even putting something in place of Obamacare. But there's every single GOP politician in the party is more competent than Trump. It's incredible, like how stupid that man is. But still, the speech comes again after one of the most bruising weeks of Trump's presidency, following Cohen's public testimony and Trump's failure to reach a diplomatic breakthrough with North Korea. For the president, the stem winder before his base was pretty cathartic. It had to be, just getting out there and talking and letting out all his emotions. Probably therapeutic in a bit. If you underscore the reality that the president still enjoys the full backing of his party, Trump still has a little bit of an uphill battle ahead. NBC News Wall Street Journal poll released yesterday shows that 4 in 10 voters say that they'd re-elect Trump in the next year, and 60% disapprove of his national emergency declaration to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. But the president's job rating remains stable, with nearly 90% of Republicans approving of his job. And the majority of Americans remain confident in the economy, believing that there won't be a recession in the next year, says NBC News' Mark Murray. It's either a 45-55 against the president at this stage of the game, says pollsters say. As long as the economic numbers look like this, that always keeps an incumbent president in the race, at least in the race. Who knows what Donald Trump will do to get himself out of the race, and especially if he's against a strong candidate like Bernie, who could really point out some of the economic flaws in his plan, some of the fake populism, some of the BS narrative that he's trying to spread. It's not going to work. So yeah, 69% of Americans are optimistic that they'll be financially better off at this time next year. I don't know why, because with Trump's tax cuts taking more effect, I mean, you saw what happened this year. I don't know how long these really numbers could say. Yeah, so Bob Costa, not Costas, but Bob Costa, examine the acquiescence to Trump that has become the defining trait of the Republican Party. In interviews over the past week, he says Republicans on Capitol Hill offered an array of reasons for their unflinching loyalty to Trump, a deep-seated fear of his pull with their supporters in primary races, fraying consensus about conservatism as nationalism takes hold of the party, and shared partisan disdain for Trump's perceived enemies in the news media and the Democratic Party. So, yeah, Trump says Republicans say Trump's overall the federal judiciary and confirmation of 2 Supreme Court justices, along with the passage of the GOP's sweeping tax law, have helped bind the party together through bouts of political turbulence. And I mean, he's got a point there. But I mean, when you're talking about Republican elected officials, they really have no reason not to. Like, what's the point? They probably, let's be honest, they probably agree with what he says. They have no reason to go against him. And probably one of the biggest, I still get so annoyed when I hear it repeated, because like, if I say it, if I hear it said, it's just like, oh, you're playing yourself. There is no way that the Republican Party is not the party of Trump. Like, any number proves that it is, and like, that's just the way you're gonna have to. That's how it works. It's just how it works at this point. So you're gonna have to get used to that reality and fight it from there. The Republican Party is the party of Trump. You're giving people in the Republican Party who are never Trumpers way too much credit for their numbers. There are not that many of them, and that's the most important thing to realize before anything else happens. That's what you got to realize there. So, yeah. All right. So tomorrow, Trump's going to be at the North Dakota State University football team, the reigning FCS national champions. That's who he's going to have in the White House because no one else wants to come visit him. But yeah, that's some of the notes at the White House. That's a little funny there. Rand Paul, who's friend with the president, announced yesterday that he will vote for the resolution blocking Trump's emergency declaration on the southern border. His opposition means Senate will likely pass the resolution, but Congress doesn't have the votes to muster an override to Trump's expected veto. So that is it's going to be tough for him to deal with there. All right. Now we turn to the investigations. House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler announced on ABC's This Week that he plans to request documents from over 60 people connected to President Trump to begin investigations to present a case to the American people about the obstruction of justice, corruption, and abuse of power. Not the I word yet. And I think it's I do like the strategy the Democrats have said, not working people up into a tizzy about this I word situation. But, I mean, it hasn't stopped Republicans from saying the Democrats want to do it anyway. But impeachment, he says, a long way down the road. We don't have the facts yet. We're going to initiate proper investigations. I mean, the way they're viewing this is they are so behind on 2 years of oversight, 2 years of things that the Donald Trump administration has gotten away with. They need to get some work done, and they need to get it done fast. And that is the mindset that they're clearly taking coming into this situation here. So, before you impeach somebody, you have to persuade the American public that it ought to happen. He says you have to persuade enough of opposition party voters, the Trump voters, that you're not just trying to reverse the results of the last election. We may or may not get there, but we have to do is protect the rule of law. The president's son, Donald Trump Jr., and Alan Weisselberg, the Trump organization's chief financial officer, among those from whom Nadler will seek documents. All right, so after Nadler's appearance, Trump tweeted, though, "I am an innocent man and have been persecuted by some very badly conflicted and corrupt people in a witch hunt that is illegal and should never have been allowed to start, and only because I won the election. Despite this, great success." Okay, that's nice. So, meanwhile, the House Ways and Means Committee is launching a request for Trump's tax return to be submitted to the IRS in the next few weeks. This is first reported by NBC. Matt Zivotowski, Tom Hamburger, and Karun Demishran of the Washington Post reported over the weekend that the House and Senate Intelligence Committees are investigating whether Cohen was involved in any discussion about possible pardons, which they view as a potentially ripe area of inquiry into whether anyone sought to obstruct justice. People familiar with the matter said. Cohen has said publicly he never asked for and would accept a pardon from Trump, but to people familiar with this matter, said his knowledge on the topic seems to extend beyond that statement. So that's an interesting place for our minds to dwell here. So, yeah, we now turn further to the Hill. We go from the investigations on the Hill to the Hill as a whole, as Rand Paul made the announcement that he would side with the dissenters on Trump's emergency declaration in a Fox News op-ed yesterday, where he said that he would lose his political soul if he supported the president's action. Paul signaled his move over the weekend per the Bowling Green Daily News' Don Sargent. And by the way, he voted for the tax cuts. I mean, what political soul are we talking about here, Rand Paul? But again, good on him for at least sticking by his political soul, as he calls it, for this one time. But I mean, how much credit can you really give him, because this thing isn't going to go through anyway? Saying, "I can't vote to give the president power to spend the money that hasn't been appropriated by Congress. We may want more money for border security, but Congress didn't authorize it. If we take away those checks and balances, it's a dangerous thing." And that he's right about that. And again, if this gets passed, this opens the door. Frankly, it opens the door for declarations of national emergencies that are much more warranted and valued in this country. All right, so yeah, during an interview last week with Fox News' Sean Hannity, Trump said the Republicans who oppose him will put themselves at great jeopardy, saying, "I think it's a very dangerous thing for people to be voting against border security." Is that a threat? I think it is. All right, so anyway, now three-way talks possibly taking place in the North Korea peace situation. After Trump's failure to bring home a grand bargain with North Korea, North and South Korea will push for three-way talks with the U.S. as a way of resuming U.S.-North Korea's denuclearization dialogue, said Seoul, South Korea's top diplomat, on Monday. We will seek various ways to create a venue for resumption of North Korea-U.S. dialogue, for Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa said in a National Security Council meeting with South Korean President Moon Jae-in to discuss the next steps post-Hanoi summit. That would be actually very interesting, because there's a three-way party negotiation. The U.S. probably more on the side of the South Korea here versus kind of like getting North Korea to kind of come off the ledge here. It definitely, I think, with some really adults in the room who know how to do this, I think the chances for peace are obviously a lot better. So that's encouraging. All right, finally, finally, we turn